Hello, welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry. Here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. If you are part of a busy family, busy household, and you want to stop drowning in piles, we're here to help you do that. But today I'm sharing mistakes that I made trying to do too much. And I think this is so important because when you build your command central, and that's a system that we teach here, you can get super organized. You could 10x your productivity. You could be checking things off your lists like just with ease and speed, and it could be amazing. But sometimes we do way too much. So if you feel like, I'm just always busy, I'm jumping from thing to thing, there's never enough time. And if the concept of just relaxing with family and friends feels kind of like a dream that will never happen, then I hope today will be helpful for you as you listen to this podcast. And maybe you're not jumping from thing to thing and you're not always busy. In fact, I was talking to my sister. She's so cute. She gets our Learn, Do, Become emails, and she said, I always open them and I read what you're up to. But she goes, sometimes you ask questions like, hey, are you always busy jumping from thing to thing? Are you stressed about this? And she said, no, I'm actually not. She is so chill, just relaxed. She doesn't worry about a lot of the same things I worry about. And so anyway, we're just different. So if you aren't like me and you don't feel like you have a problem being too busy, maybe this will help you understand the people in your life who are like that. So I think my sister maybe understands me better by listening to the things I talk about here. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I'm here to help you be more calm if it's not your natural inclination, okay? I think it's really common for a lot of people to struggle with procrastination, perfectionism, and overwhelm here at Learn to Become, because typically the people who want to stop drowning in piles and who are looking for systems have those types of challenges or, things going on in their lives. But I just want to share a few mistakes today, or maybe I should just say lessons I've learned as I've tried to do way too much. And let's just dive in. I'll start with number one. So mistake number one is I used to think my value could be measured. So imagine, two little stick figures representing two different people. And I used to think that you could itemize their value by some kind of metric. Maybe it's the number of tasks that they complete. Maybe it's how much money they earn. Maybe it's how much they weigh, how beautiful they are, how famous they are, something like that. And so if I did more, I felt like it helped my overall metric, right, of being a valuable person. Now, I've learned that there are so many facets to each person that it's ridiculous to ever try to measure. Because what if someone is a really good listener, but they don't make a lot of money? Are they now less valuable as a person? Like they have less money in their bank account maybe, but it doesn't mean they're less valuable as a person. So anyway, I've learned that from Dr. David Burns, one of my favorite authors I talk about all the time. So that part I'm not concerned about. I've also learned that our value really has nothing to do with these external metrics. In fact, David Burns and Mike Christensen, who I've worked with as my cognitive behavioral therapy coach, they did this Facebook Live, and they were walking through the pretend high school reunion where the most externally successful person comes up to you and says something like, too bad you're not as good as me. Like, I have been on the cover of magazines and I am so famous and I'm amazing. And they do this little role play where then you'd respond to them and say, oh, that's amazing that you do all these things. And then they say, and I am more valuable than you. And you say, well, I can see you've done a lot of things, but I don't quite understand how that makes you more valuable than me. And then they go back and forth. And anyway, it sounds so ridiculous when you actually hear it played out. And it helps put the lie to what often goes in our minds when we go on social media or go out in the world and compare ourselves. So anyway, I will link in the show notes to their, I have all my notes from their Facebook Live. It was like an hour or 2 hour thing. And I wrote down all the bullet points that really helped my life. So I'll give you a link to that in the show notes page, and you can hopefully check that out. But they really helped me learn to be okay and even happy being average. So I used to get kind of stressed out. Let's say I'm going to a party and I hadn't really done my hair. I didn't really look good. I needed to redo my makeup. I was like, oh, I don't look great. I'm about to go to a party. That would usually have caused me some stress. And so I would try to take extra time to get ready for this event. Now, I still try to look nice out of respect for the host, and I'm not like showing up in my pajamas or something like that. But I figure, hey, it's okay if I'm an imperfect human. It's okay if I don't like look super fancy. Anyway, just this whole concept has changed the way I look at myself. Even when I see someone who's doing amazing with their online work or they're just amazingly talented, I can look at them and say, oh, that's awesome. They're doing great. But therefore, it doesn't make me less valuable. So anyway, that may be helpful to you. It may not. Maybe you're thinking, April, I already knew this. But that mistake I made, thinking my value could be measured, caused a lot of stress. And now that stress is gone. All right, mistake number 2. I thought it was wrong for me to be happy if anything was wrong in the world. Therefore, keeping myself busy and overwhelmed prevented me from being too happy, which therefore meant I was selfish. I had one experience where Eric and I were out hiking in the hills near our house with Sunny, our dog. It was a beautiful day. We're looking out over the city and just so happy. And I remember just feeling this joy and peace. And I thought, oh, I feel so happy right now. And then immediately I thought, oh, wait, I can't be feeling happy because there are people who are suffering in the world. So I gave myself a list of things to worry about, kind of proving that I'm not selfish by being happy if I can make myself worried. Now, I finally learned that being happy and healthy and calm enables me to serve. My heart is geared toward alleviating suffering, and I know I can't do everything, but I can do my small part. And the more I take care of my mental health and enable myself to feel joy, then the more bandwidth I have to be able to do things that can be of service. So that's been a great change for me. Let's move on to mistake number 3. I used to push my anxiety onto others so they would do more too, almost like an extension of me. One of the most painful experiences where I did this was a few years ago. I asked Aaliyah if I could share the story, and she said that I could. But Aaliyah and I were working on a project together a few years ago, and I was probably at the height of my anxiety. Learn to Become had like doubled in size during COVID. So this was after COVID. We had a big team. We had a lot of activities going on. I was just like working like crazy to kind of keep everything moving and going. And I was so stressed. Aaliyah had just had a surgery. She had a walking cast on. She was using crutches. She was having a hard time climbing stairs. And so we were having this conversation where I was telling her, we need to be doing more. You're not moving fast enough. And I was putting all my anxiety on her. And she's trying to climb up the stairs on her hands and knees because she can't walk. She's had the surgery. She's still taking medication and trying to heal. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She was feeling so bad that she wasn't working harder for me. And she's forgiven me. And I don't think she blamed me even at the time. She was very forgiving and gave me space. And I think she knew I was under a lot of pressure. I was putting myself under a lot of pressure. But we still kind of look back at that experience where she'll say, remember that time I was climbing the stairs and you were telling me I wasn't doing enough? I'm like, I'm so sorry. Let's not talk about it anymore. I feel so bad about that. But now, as we are moving forward, I just promised I wouldn't do that anymore. Now, if I'm feeling anxiety over something, I need to calm down and figure out what is it that makes sense for us to do. And then I need to let go of whatever is causing me to think I need to do more than is actually required. So now we plan way in advance. We're very clear on what we're doing. We're not trying to be people pleasers and move super fast to make anyone else happy. It's just been a complete transformation in how we work. And we're still getting a lot of things done, but we're moving at a measured pace. And so I just promised myself I will not push my anxiety onto others. And I just mentioned this because I don't know if you do this, but it's a good thing to be aware of. Mistake number 4 is I used to believe projects and tasks were more important than my health. So I convinced myself that others would suffer if I didn't work myself to the bone. I wouldn't just burn the candle at both ends, I would also burn it in the middle. And I remember there was one time when it was before we moved to the house we're in right now. And I was sitting on my bed and I was working on like so many projects. We were getting ready to move. I was running 2 organizations. My mom was dying of Alzheimer's. We had 4 children still living in the house. I had like multiple projects, way too many projects I was trying to do. And there was a lot of pressure. Like I felt so much pressure. And I remember my legs were like out in front of me, and I looked down and I had rashes, stress rashes on both legs, covering both shins, like knee down to ankle, just covered in rashes. And even though I knew they were stress rashes, I just didn't think there was another option. I thought, nope, I've just got to take one for the team. I can't stop. I am going to let anyone down if I'm going to let everyone down if I don't keep going. And if I could go back and redo that, or if I could go back and talk to that version of me, I would have said, hey, April, there is too much that you're requiring of yourself right now, and your body is showing you. You need to decide which things actually matter right now, and then you need to let the other things go, and you need to have some hard conversations, because that's really what it was. I was not willing to have hard conversations with other people who I felt were expecting things from me. And the thing is, if I don't tell someone that I'm upset or I'm overworked or I'm frustrated, how are they going to know? And I used to just think, well, people should know. They should just read my mind, or they should see I'm stressed, or they should just not put so much on me. No, I was putting it on myself because I kept saying yes. And I never said, hey, I'm maxed out. I'm overmaxed. I need to make some adjustments for my health. Like, I didn't know how to do that. Now I know how to do that. And so now I have the hard conversations, and they haven't been easy for me, but they're getting easier. And I really just want to emphasize this, because if right now you are making yourself sick because you think that you have to do something to an extreme, or because you need to please someone else, there needs to be a conversation. Like you need to protect your health, because projects and tasks, if they're killing you, like it's not worth your life. There are some things that I think are worth our lives, but not projects and tasks and regular employment. Like that shouldn't take everything from you. And I didn't know that. So the other just like phrase I have in my mind is that if a project or routine or obligation requires me to be unhealthy in order for it to live, then I have to let it die, or I have to let someone else do it. And that statement, I know it sounds obvious, maybe, but it wasn't to me. And it's been a huge change. So, okay, hopefully that is helpful. It's hard for me to share these things. I think I'm getting more comfortable sharing things like this just because I'm hopeful it'll help other people. I am kind of embarrassed that I ever did that, but that's where I was. All right, and mistake number 5. I used to think if I didn't work myself to the bone, to alleviate suffering, especially through my online work, then I failed at my God-given stewardship. Okay, this one was so hard. I actually had to do a good hour and a half coaching session in order to get to the bottom of this. So I met with Mike Christensen, my cognitive behavioral therapy coach, and I said, okay, I have so much to do and I'm tense. And he's like, okay, so you believe you have so much to do. I'm like, no, I don't just believe I have so much to do. I do have so much to do. I mean, that's what I was thinking. This wasn't a belief. That was just the facts. And then he started asking like, okay, well, so if you do have so much to do and you don't do it, then what does that mean? And I was like, oh, okay. So we started doing this downward arrow technique where you say, well, it means that I'm just not capable enough, or, I'm letting people down. Okay, so if you let people down, then what does that mean? Oh man. So we went down and down and down until I finally got to the point. I said, oh, it means that I feel like God has given me gifts and blessings and experiences to help other people, and I'm just not doing a good enough job. And it made me really emotional as I shared it with him. And he's like, okay, all right, that this is something we need to work with now. And so I've done a lot of work to figure all that out. But finally, I've learned that I can choose what I feel is most important to work on. And then I can take that list to God. And then I can move forward with confidence that I'm making choices that reflect my values. And if I feel that God is telling me to adjust, then I'll do that. but I'm not going to feel like, oh, if I don't do everything, I'm just like failing in my God-given stewardship, because that's ridiculous. Not one person on this planet can do everything. We're all doing our part with the time and energy that makes sense with our families and our whole stewardship, right? I will say that I move slower in a lot of ways than I have in the past, and I don't maybe have all the external metrics. Like, I'm not as successful in some areas as I used to be because I've slowed down. So that was hard for me for a while, because I thought, oh man, I'm like taking hits. Like, if I'm really anxious and if I stress myself out and burn the candle all over the place, then I am, I'm a success. And now I've just had to say, no, I'm going to move at a pace that works. And I believe over time, things will, turn out the way that they need to. And it's not all about me. And there's a higher power here to help. Anyway, so that's been super helpful. Each one of us makes mistakes, or each one of us has experiences that we learn from where we don't do everything optimally. It's not easy to look at our lives and see where we were thinking in a way that maybe was off. And it's not easy to admit that we still need to grow sometimes. But I think it really is important for us to share our past pains and experiences, in an appropriate way. Hopefully this is an appropriate way so that other people can learn. Because I love learning from other people's experiences. Why should I have to go through all the pain that they went through when I can just learn from them? And so I hope, as I've shared some of these things today, that you've maybe been able to think about your own life, maybe seen some areas where you have been struggling, where you think you could make some adjustments in your beliefs and move forward in a more positive direction. I will link to some great relevant videos and podcasts in the show notes if you want to go deeper into this, like emotional decluttering, or talk more about these types of lessons that have been helpful to me. And if you have anything you want to share, maybe a lesson that you've learned, please come share it in the comments. It would be amazing to be able to participate in this conversation together. And if you are not yet an Ariser, we go deeper into not just organization, but relationships and physical and mental health and finances and family and purpose and higher power, so that we're creating a really strong, well-rounded life that's not just organized and clean, but enabling us to wake up excited and go to bed content, really living our purpose and architecting that life that we can't wait to wake up and live. So if you want to learn more about Arise, come to learndobecome.com/arise. We can't wait to share that with you. And we're just so grateful that you're here with us and part of this community. We love you and know that you're doing amazing work. And I'm hopeful that as we're introspective and as we set some goals and work on them in ways that are appropriate and that give us energy, that every day we'll just keep feeling happier and more fulfilling and more calm and peaceful and joyful. Anyway, that's what I'm working towards, and I'm so grateful you're here with me. So take care. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.